This is stupid. Where's the home button? No one will ever use an operating system that does not have a home button. Comment number 2. I got the chance to play with the Z10 myself, and the gestures to go home are just way too confusing. Comment number 3. I think BlackBerry was okay. BlackBerry 10 was okay. I just couldn't deal with the swipe up to go home. iPhone is still the most simplest by far.
Marcy man.
Must be in the air. Oh, can't walk away. I know. Just the
What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon, Lifestyles Defined. Fair warning, if you found yourself on this channel with that last video of me congratulating Apple on the iPhone 10, that is not the norm. In fact, you might want to reach for the unsubscribe button now, because this is going to be a very hostile video towards Apple. In fact, this is a very hostile channel towards Apple, but I want to bring to surface a video I did a very long time ago. I think it was called, the title was Being a Fanboy Like a Gentleman. And you know, the word fanboy has got like a negative connotation to it, and I want people to understand you can totally be a fanboy of things, and that doesn't equate you hating the opposite, right? Like I don't understand. I see so many people who just, because they love this one thing intensely, the competition over there must die. It gotta go away. It's not good. Like, that's not it. Being a fanboy, in fact, is a very dope thing. It shows you have connection and passion with a brand. Why not? I mean, these companies spend millions and billions, if not billions, of money to have you connect. And when you connect, it's a beautiful thing. You do for them, they do for you, and we rock out. That doesn't mean you have to hate the competition. Now that I have laid down the moral blanket on this cesspool that is going to be a lawn, fuck Apple. And a lot of you out here, a lot of you that's new to the channel, in fact, I had a comment last week that asked, why do I hate Apple? I mean, I hate Apple for some very moral issues, you know, stemming way back to Steve Jobs, and I won't get into too much of it, but I didn't have a problem with Steve Jobs until everyone tried to shove him down my throat. I couldn't ask about Apple without someone leading the conversation with Steve Jobs. Like, my man, I didn't ask you about Steve Jobs. I asked you about this Apple product. And when Steve passed away, it was clear as day to see the product was never Apple. It was never iPhone. The product was Steve Jobs. People were being sold Steve Jobs in a box. And that's okay. But I refuse to buy someone in a box without understanding this person. And without slandering the dead, a lot about what I found out about this guy was just like disgusting to me. He had a daughter he didn't claim until he was damn near on his deathbed. He bitched about not being knighted when when Bill Gates was knighted by the Queen. And like, Bill Gates made it mandatory that 17% of Microsoft profit would always go to charity. Bill Gates single-handedly cured like polio in Africa. What makes you think your circle mouse puts you next to this person? Like, what? This guy died with his money. Whatever. You see that you're trying to get me riled up already. Whatever. I have my specific reasons why I don't like Apple. And I've said in the past, specifically in the last 2 years, the Apple that I fucking hate and the cult of Apple, because Apple is almost like a fucking religion. And two things I hate most in this world are fuckboys and religion. Probably, I don't know. Would I put Apple second? No, I wouldn't. And I've often said in the last 2 years, the Apple that I hate is not the Apple that exists today. But the cult around it, they're still there, and I still fucking hate these people. And I want to exercise to you guys the first video. Let it be a testament to the fact that because I'm a Microsoft fanboy and because I just fucking hate Apple, doesn't mean that the iPhone 10 is not dope or is any less of a beast. In fact, I see the comments, and we're gonna talk a lot about this here. The comments going, "Oh, Apple's finally got a face unlock. Welcome to 2012." Like, that's not the way to go about it. I mean, because Apple has it and they didn't have it first, doesn't mean that it's not dope on the iPhone, right? Let's put that out there, because you see the opposite. You see things like Apple Pay, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not a big deal." And then all of a sudden, Samsung shows up like, "Hey, I got that new Samsung Pay, son. What's up?" And everyone's like, "Oh my God, Samsung Pay is amazing, and it's accepted at the crackhead pharmacy down the block. I can get my Oxycontin." Like, wait a minute, but you told me that payment from your phone was pointless. But because someone other than Apple did it, now it's dope? Like, no, we can't do that. We shouldn't be like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bash Apple into the ground with this iPhone 10, and I'm going to do it in a gentleman-like way. And I still want the undertone to be, I want the foundation of this conversation to be, because Apple is late or it has been done before or whatever the case, doesn't mean the phone is not dope. But I felt the need to do this video because today alone, this is one day after the announcement, I've gotten into 6 conversations where people are mentioning things about the iPhone 10 as if this is the first time it's being done. And I don't have a problem with that. In fact, this is my point to a lot of technologists in the world and people who don't like Apple. Guys, it's new to them. You need to respect that. They put it on their blinders. All they want to do is buy Apple. And when Apple delivers something, whatever it is, if they didn't have it on their last phone, it's new to them. You can't take that away from someone. Do you think Samsung had an iris scanner before Microsoft? I didn't go out there and get that Samsung Galaxy S8. I see they finally got an iris scanner. Like, no, that's not the way we do things. But let the bashing commence. I said this today in a conversation and someone looked at me like I was fucking crazy. It feels like Apple was holding back for this announcement, for this product. And what I mean by holding back is you got to understand how big of a thing this was for Apple here. Was the 10th anniversary, the 10th year of the iPhone. So much so that they skipped a few numbers. When Microsoft skips a number, all hell breaks loose. When Apple does it, it's fine. It's dope. It's stylish. Fuck out of here. They skipped a number. They've got the Apple Cult Church finished building, and they've got the fucking theater of Steve Jobs, and this is where they unveiled it. And pretty much all the stars are aligning for Apple, which is fine. But every time I go back to the iPhone 7, the iPhone 6, and I just, there's something about those 2 generations of iPhones that was just so lackluster. And it felt like Apple was almost doing the bare minimum. It felt like they were holding back. You mean to tell me they couldn't put glass on the back of the goddamn iPhone 4 years ago? Come on. They could have chosen a standard Qi or the other shit no one now cares about 4 years ago, but they didn't. They held out. And I understand that. But to me, this is a disservice to your fucking customers, because you want to show face with a big fireworks, and that's not how you do it. Because during those 4 years, Android made huge leaps and bounds. And so much so that it was almost laughable every time a new iPhone came out. And it was just like, the iPhone 6, haha, all right, well, whatever. You keep doing that bullshit. And Android over here with 12-inch displays and fucking 16-core processors and 1,000 megapixel cameras. And it never stopped. And then the 6S came out and it was underwhelming. The 7 came out and it was like, what the fuck is that? The 7S came out. Wait, is there a 7S? Wait, what is this? Is this a 7? Oh, no, my bad. There's no 7S. Oops. The 7S is called the iPhone 8. Oops. And these are things that drives me nuts. I hate, like, don't do that to the consumer, because it's important that when these people go to compare dollars and cents and they say, okay, What do I get? Here's what I'm gonna spend. What do I get over here in the Apple camp? What do I get over here in the Android camp? And if they chose Apple, I feel like that person is they're just being done a disservice. You didn't get the best of the best. And you're being told that it's the best of the best, but it really isn't. I am fully convinced Apple has lost their effing mind. I don't know. They felt the need to put up a slide. For the first time ever, they're offering the most amount of iPhones ever. What does that mean exactly? Like, if you want to make a cheaper phone, make a cheaper phone. Don't try to sell me last year's shit as cheap. Like, I don't. There's a validity to it. Yes, I understand the new shit pushes the old one down and it's cheaper and more affordable. Like, the SE, come the fuck on with that, Apple. The iPhone 6 is still up there. They're still selling the iPhone 7. Like, why are you still selling an iPhone 7 when you just came out with an iPhone 8? Why is that on the top of your presentation? What's happening here? I feel like Apple is really losing a lot of, if you go back and you look at what Steve Jobs did, the minute that he got back into the company after they kicked him out in his ass, of his own company, by the way, the first thing he did was just simplify shit. There was too much going on. There's a million SKUs. He was like, no, fuck that. We're selling this one, maybe two, and it's going to be $1 million, and people are going to buy it. And if they don't buy it, fuck them. They're going to buy it for Christmas anyway. And he was right. And he strove for that. And it was very simple. You walked into an Apple store for years. You were here to get the iPhone. You wanted the iPhone. You wanted the 3G. You wanted the 3GS. You wanted the iPhone 4. You wanted that was it. That was the only thing. And then things got a little murky with the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. Okay, but the 6 Plus was a fan favorite. I even like the 6 Plus. A bigger screen. Yes, because Apple was taking a beating. And I think a bigger screen was not only warranted for the time to catch up, but it was just part of like the evolution of technology. My man, I need a bigger screen. And Apple delivered. Sorry, my phone's going crazy. The issue here is I look at this lineup and I almost don't know what the fuck to buy. What are you supposed to buy here? Is this for real? Like, you have the iPhone 7 or you may have the 6S and you go into the Apple store and you say, I want the iPhone 8. I want that new hotness. And they go, are you sure you want the iPhone 8? Because you know it doesn't do any of the talking shit emoji thing that you're gonna love. What do you mean? What's that? Oh, that's only available on the iPhone 10. Wait, what do you mean? So understand how this gets worse. With the introduction of the Plus, Apple put up an optical image stabilization on the back of the camera and gave it a bigger battery. That was the only differentiating difference between the 6 and the Plus. And I can live with that. It was even more of a reason to get the Plus because the battery lasted all day. Now you're telling me the difference is security? What? Of Face ID? You mean 50% of the iPhone announcements and the features won't be on the iPhone 8. So why the fuck are you selling the iPhone 8? How are you supposed to get this across to regular people? This is some Android shit. This is what you call fragmentation. This is what Apple swore they would never do. This is what the Apple bigots and the fucking fanboys made fun of. Too much fragmentation over there. Do I get that with this screen or do I get that with that camera? I don't know. Now Apple is squarely in that boat. And I don't see anyone bitching and moaning or putting them in their place. It is fucking distasteful. What do you mean I can't get that new OLED screen? Only on the 10. By the way, there's supposed to be a super shortage, so good luck trying to get one until next year, March. What the fuck? That's not what Apple is known for. That is not the consistency and the simplicity of the offering Apple is known for. Now, when you walk in an Apple store, and by and large, iOS users are not the smartest in the world. Trust me, I deal with them every day. By and large, you are now as confused as a customer looking for an Android phone in Best Buy. Good job, Apple. But while we're talking about differentiation, why is the iPhone 10 only in one size? Now, I get it. Looking at the spec sheet, The iPhone 10, even in performance, supposedly, we're talking battery performance, it sits between the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus. What? So here's my thing. Apple has groomed the customer to have two options. You have a smaller phone that probably most females will prefer, and some do. Some people just don't like a big phone in their hand. And then you got the balls to the wall version, punching you in your face with the plus display, bigger battery, and hoorah. Now there's this thing in the middle. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that? I want a bigger screen. I don't want that display. I want a bigger screen. So now I can't get an X. I can't get an iPhone 10. What about my mom? These phones are too big. I love the size of the iPhone 6. So what? She can't get an iPhone 10? She needs to get an iPhone 8? But then what about all those crazy features? My mom likes to use the selfie camera. Why does she not get the portrait mode on that? Like, do you get what I'm saying here? Again, fragmentation. This goes against the consistency, the laws of consistency that Apple has groomed the consumer to expect. Fail. One of the things that always made Apple the default choice, I mean, even though I hated Apple, even though I always thought they were never really leading the technology charge, I always directed most people to the iPhone. It was usability was bar none. It was simple. There was nothing to it, and it had the apps you want. It was just least amount of hassle, and that is the consistency. There's that word again, consistency. That usability and the consistency of that usability is what I think has made Apple the powerhouse that they are today. You knew how to operate an iOS device all the way from iOS 1 to iOS 11, right? And that's a huge thing. Let us never undermine that, because in the span of iOS 1 to iOS 11, Samsung has had so many different iterations. HTC has come and gone. Google has changed the way Android work. And if you bounce, you get LG, you get Motorola, you need to learn these things again. Some people don't want to go through that. They just want to pick up a phone and know how to send a text, send an email, make a phone call. And that's something I say to people a lot. You don't value consistency, you don't value simplicity until you need to do the important things in a hurry. Make a text, send an email, make a phone call, right? This is what Apple is. This is what their bread and butter is. And I think this is the reason why they've been slow to innovate. According to them, they innovate everything in the fucking world. And it pains me to see that there's no more home button. Guys, I saw this pompous ass bit of presentation where my guy swipes up. Of course, we all know the shit fails, but he swipes up and then he says, once you use it, there'll be no doubt you'll ever think there was never a better way to do it. The fuck are you talking about? I watched an entire industry crucify BlackBerry 10 because it had no home button. I can't get with this gesture. I can't swipe up. This doesn't make sense. Now it makes sense when Apple does it? How the fuck you figure? First of all, I can't give this phone to my mother. I just can't. There's no way in hell she's gonna understand or she's gonna grasp anytime soon that to get home you need to swipe up. That shit sounds simple to me, not the rest of iOS land. And how do you pull up your cards? How do you multitask again? Good fucking luck with that. Where's the control center? I need to turn off Wi-Fi because my battery's dying. Oh wait, no, that takes me home. Where's control center? Where's the mission center? Whatever the fuck they call it. Oh, it's in the top right now. What do you mean? It was a swipe from the bottom up. Okay, well, got to learn that. How do you get the notification center? Because I keep swiping down and it keeps bringing up the mission control. No, you got to swipe down from the middle. Like, what? This is some sloppy 2008 Android shit that's happening right here. And it's so distasteful and it's so not Apple. It's Apple now. And I am so interested to read how people react to it, because in my opinion, they are trading up years of dependability, reliability, and just ease of use. It's all gone out the fucking window because they don't have a home button. And they spend all that time convincing people that the haptic button, the haptic home button has got plenty of jiggers under there. And when you touch it, it feels like a real fucking button, mate. It feels like a real button. Feel it. Fuck you, I'm taking the button. No more button for you, mate. OLED. So this is what I call just fucking hilarity. Do you know who's making the OLED displays that Apple's using in their phones? Samsung. None other than Samsung, because who the hell else? Because for the last 5 to 6 years, Samsung has been pumping out displays that are good enough to throw in the IMAX theater. And there's no getting around it. And I mean, we've seen different variations of OLED. We've seen Nokia had them. Does Sony? I don't know if Sony had them, but I've seen quite my fair share of OLED displays on the phone, and they're all beautiful, first of all, and some are more beautiful than others. Samsung, yes, does have a thing for the punchy, over contrast, over saturated look, but I always dig the fact that you can go into setting and just put it on neutral, which I often do, which is what my S8 Plus is currently in neutral, and it's a very accurate portrayal of the colors or what have you. But I think it's hilarity to see Apple bend a knee, walk into Samsung factory, and just fucking humble yourself. Yes. And then on top of that, as if that wasn't the case, right? Because so many people have no idea what I just said about who's making these displays. And in fact, it sounds like some sort of The Onion fact, right? On top of that, this guy's on stage making a snark remark about, this is the first OLED that's been good enough for an iPhone. The fuck are you talking about? What do you mean the first LED? What's different in the OLED that Apple's using that Samsung hasn't been using for the last 4 years? What fucking planet do these people work on? Then he gives this list of like the positives of OLED and then the negatives, and here's how we overcame the negatives, the color reproduction, and like, what the fuck what are you talking about? Samsung figured that out years ago, and it's just crazy that they stand on the stage and they say these dumb fucking things, and it's just gospel. It's just gospel. What? Yes. The wireless charging. This was part of the conversation I had, and this continues to go back to the point that I make. OLED, edge-to-edge display, wireless charging. These things aren't new to the regular person out there, but they're new to the iPhone fan. And you got to respect that. And the person I spoke to today was just like, yeah, I heard they got wireless charging now. And this is a thing for you because every other phone out there had it for years. Yeah, I know, but it's so cool. It's got wireless charging. You just want to like bang your head against the fucking desk. Like, what? Wait, like, if it's a big deal to you, then why didn't you act accordingly 4 years ago? This is game changer now. It's not a fucking game changer. It's gospel. It's Apple, and it's crazy to see the grasp, the mind share that this company has over people. And it needs to be respected, man. I'm sorry to say. The church, the cult of Apple is fucking strong. But to round it off, I agree. I love to bash Apple and the iPhone just as much as the next man. And I agree with a lot of where you guys are at, a lot of the comments you've been leaving. But the fact remains, you can say Apple's just playing catch up. Yeah, sure, I agree. But they caught up. That's the problem. After, according to me, holding back so much for so long, how did they just catch up? What the fuck is everyone else doing that Apple just catches up? Because any other company, if you don't come to practice on Sunday, next week you're missing all your shots. Apparently not Apple. So help me understand. Even Apple is just this fucking special, which I don't think they are. Or the people who they caught up with just weren't that far ahead as far ahead as they think. And I'm looking at Samsung. I'm looking at that fucking Note 8 video that's on the channel going crazy with the fanboys talking their shit. Listen, fuckboy, I just read an article about 10 reasons the Galaxy Note 8 is better than the iPhone 10. You know what the 10th reason was? The S Pen. Every single reason up until point number 10. So that's 9 reasons why the Note 8 was better than the iPhone 10. Means the Galaxy S8 is just as good as the Note 8, which was my point in that video. I'm not saying the Note 8 is not dope. What I'm saying is this fucking thing is not moving the needle. It's only marginally better. And then here comes Apple showing everyone's ass. You mean Apple can just catch up? They can just wake up today and be like, all right, well, let's go to work. Let's go show them what we got. Can you tell? I have a problem telling you that the Galaxy S8 is a stronger device than the Apple, or the Note 8 is a stronger device than the iPhone 10. Again, you need to give credence to what Apple's doing here. Yes, they caught up, and I would argue everything's on a playing field, except let's talk about Face ID, right? People's been fumbling Face ID for years, right? Microsoft had it, the Lumia phones had it, and iris scanning was a pain in the ass. It wasn't responsive. You had to hold the shit up. People on the train looking at me like I'm taking pictures of them. I'm not fucking with that, right? Samsung has it. I'm currently using it on my phone with the caveat that somebody can print out a goddamn Facebook picture and lock my phone, and that's the game I play, and it's okay. Here comes Apple saying, no, that's not good enough, and they're putting all of this 3D mapping with all types of heat sensing technology in there, and this thing knows who you are, and it's always learning about you when your face is changing, you're aging, you're growing beards, whatever the case is. This thing is always recording you. It always knows what you look like now. That's not the same thing. And on top of that, this whole face identity shit is going to be coupled into security. This is how you get into your bank app. This is how you make purchases on your phone. Jesus Christ, people, it's not the same thing. This is what makes Apple pull away from the competition, because they put this shit in a package. Yeah, sure, you can unlock your phone, right? That's the principle here. That's the baseline. You can unlock your phone with your face, but you can also sign in securely to your bank account. Do you think Android figured that out? I'll wait. That puts them ahead. The fact that this computational stupid shit with all the studio mode and all of that, and I see Samsung running out there to do their portrait mode. Yeah, fine, everyone can do it. Here comes Apple doing things with the camera in real time that I need to take 45 minutes to set up and put up professional lights for low-key images. It's not the same thing. It just isn't. And it's crazy to see people, and I'm done with the Apple fanboys. I'm just talking to the rest of the world. Guys, you got to recognize what Apple's doing here. There's some things like the animated emojis. It sounds stupid to me. It sounds stupid to you, but don't a lot of people use emojis? You think a lot of people don't want to use emojis that are driven by face mapping and have the same expression you have? Like, that's fucking dope. The fact that Apple can demo the Snapchat with the face mapping, you could see the texture of this dude's face through the paint. It looked like it was legitimately painted on his face. Meanwhile, on the Android version of Snapchat, you can't even fucking get the thing to run without crashing or lagging. Guys, there's a difference. There's a difference. And I stand by my fact that Apple caught up and surpassed everything else on the market. And it sucks because, again, this makes the Note 8 look silly. Still a dope phone, still marginally better than the S8 Plus, but it's nowhere close to what Apple is doing. That's just my opinion. And Android, I don't know when's the next Android. All hope lies on the Pixel now. I mean, the V30 is a dope phone, and even that's like, right? All hope lies on the Pixel. What is the Pixel gonna do? And it sucks. I hate to sit here and say that Apple's got the industry by the balls, because we haven't seen this in a long time. I'd say I haven't seen where an iPhone, in my judgment, in my opinion, has been notably better than the rest of the industry since the iPhone 4. I haven't seen it. And I wasn't looking forward to ever seeing it again. Why? Because fuck Apple. But goddamn, they let them take the lead. Leave the comments below, because I know a lot of you are red in the face. Some of you are blue in the face. Everybody's got an opinion. Like I said, this is a very hostile, Apple hostile video. And don't come over here asking for no reviews of Apple shit, because it just ain't happening. Fuck Apple. My name is Ramon. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it, because I can feel the dislikes from here. I felt them. I felt them coming. I'm out of here. Peace. Well, I guess. And the reason we started Lifestyles Defined is because if we weren't on camera arguing about these things, the technologies, the phones, the iPhones, the Androids, the cameras, the games, we'd be on the phone arguing about it. We'd be in each other's houses arguing about it. So why not just put it in front of a camera for everyone to enjoy it the way we do? That's what Lifestyles Defined is all about. We just